A little bit of housekeeping before we get into this very strange story. I wasn't quite thinking this was going to be as in-depth as it was, but we're here now. Anyways, I just want to give a big shout out to Quetzalcoatl. I think I'm pronouncing that right, and if I'm not, Quetzalcoatl, something like that. But you have been exceptionally generous, and shout out to you, my guy. I really appreciate it. 2 times over. I forgot, absolutely forgot, absent-minded me to shout you out yesterday, but you deserve the 2 for, my guy. I appreciate it intensely, and shout out to you. And then also, before, happy end of Black History Month. But now we're going to talk about beastiality. Yeah, I know, right? It's like, okay, how far down the slippery slope do we have to go before people start to realize that maybe we should nip this stuff in the bud before things get too far out of hand? Because remember, it's all about love is love and emotionalism. What's the worst that can happen? People end up banging animals. Well, it's just over in Spain. It's not like that degeneracy can come across the ocean, right? It's not like similar policies like decriminalization of hard drugs has made its way over. Oh, wait, it totally has. Great, fantastic. So, Spain decriminalizes sex acts with animals as long as no physical injury occurs. Oh, but don't worry, guys. The fact checkers are out there, and they are here to inform us that a change in Spanish criminal code was intended to protect animals from abuse. Did it decriminalize bestiality instead? Proponents of the legislation say this is an absurd mischaracterization of the law that in reality extends protections. Aha, see? It's not actually degeneracy, it's just, we needed to word it a little bit better. And extends the protections to more animals more aggressively. Opponents argued that the new language of the law potentially downgrades the severity of crimes that could theoretically include bestiality. Here Snopes examines the controversy, beacons of honesty and truth. That's why we use them. Snopes, great outlet. I remember when they used to be fact-checking creepypasta and internet rumors, but here they are with all the hard-hitting topics. A prison sentence for 3 months and 1 day to 1 year, and special barring for carrying out a profession, trade, or commerce related to animals, and for the keeping of animals for the term of 1 year and 1 day to 3 years shall be imposed on those who by any means or produce unfairly mistreat, causing injuries that seriously damage its health, or by submitting it to sexual exploitation. Well, that in fact sounds like it's completely the opposite of that. A contentious point to the question relates to the modification of Spain's Criminal Act, Article 337, and sentences for mistreatment and abuse of animals. It currently punishes sexual exploitation of animals, and the wording has been changed to penalizing acts of sexual nature that cause an animal injury, which requires treatment. So, the fact that the proposed new text doesn't appear to specifically state that all sexual acts on animals should be considered a crime, but rather only the ones that cause physical harm to animals, has been picked apart as apparent proof that bestiality will become legal in Spain. The need for veterinary treatment for cure injuries is introduced in the type of criminal abuse, relegating injuries that heal by themselves as a minor offense with a fine. This is a step backwards with respect to the current penal code that punishes the injury that occurs and also does not exclude psychological injuries. Now we're worried about the that could be caused by the animal as a result of the mistreatment. Yes, it all just decides to whinny and then just needlessly kick backwards whenever it hears the sound of Velcro gloves and oversized rubber boots come clomping towards them. All sexual acts with animals, I legitimately can't believe I'm reading this, will be punishable. Only if there's injuries, only if there's evidence afterwards. Jesus Christ. In the event that they produce injuries, they will be considered a crime. The rest, less serious offenses, will be classified as abuse without any visible signs of injury. So if they can't prove it, you get a ticket. And if they can prove it, well, you can potentially be going to jail. Even though everything before this rewriting, it was all a criminal offense. So it wasn't necessarily incorrect to say that it's been decriminalized, because nobody's going to jail if they're a tender lover, if you will. On Thursday, the Spanish Parliament approved a new animal welfare law that decriminalizes bestiality as long as the creature does not receive an injury that requires veterinary treatment. According to Mundo Toro, Bestiality will no longer be considered a criminal offense if there are no injuries to the animals. This is established by the new penal code through the new animal welfare law promoted by Minister Ione Beata. Okay. That was approved in Congress on February 9th. Spain, tackling all of the important issues. Ione Beata Utega, Spain's Minister of Social Rights and 2030 agenda. Of course. What's their version of 2030? Live in the pod, eat the bugs, fuck the dogs? Is that what we're going with? Jesus. Supported the laws passing. Bestiality was previously illegal, according to Article 337.1 of the Penal Code, stating he will be punished. Oh, only he. So the ladies with the jars of peanut butter, don't worry about it. Everything is still fine. 3 months and a day to 1 year and a day special. Yeah, we already read all that stuff. The new law reforms the penal code and deletes Article 337, removing the sexual exploitation of animals language from the code. The new reform, or Title 16, states it will be punished with a prison sentence for 3 to 18 months, or a fine of 6 to 12 months. How does that work? With a penalty of special disqualification from 1 to 5 years, the exercise of a profession, trade, or trade that is related to animals, and the animal possessions is one that, outside of legally regulated activities, and by any means or procedure, including acts of sexual nature, causes an animal that is domesticated, tamed, domesticated, or that lives temporarily or temporarily under human control, an injury that requires veterinary treatment to the restoration of his health. The qualifying charge is a sex act where the animal causes the creature to need treatment at the vet. So basically, if you pick an animal that's too big in order to really cause any damage, all systems go, baby. So you know who's going to be heading over there? Our good boy Cenk Uygur. Of course, man. This clip has lived in infamy for a while, and it's about time that I put it on the record. I don't know if they copyright their stuff, so we're only going to be playing just a little bit of it. I'll link to the full clip. So if you want to watch it all in context and be equally as perplexed as everybody who was, I don't know who was watching it at the time. The Young Turks was actually a lot more popping back in the cup when he said this in 2013. Now they're just begging to pay the lights on and go back to their studio. But Cenk, who was running for Congress in 2020 and got the brakes beat off of him, holy, he's running in what? Southern California? I should be able to run. Of course I should get some votes. Of course. Fat bastard. Legalizing bestiality where you are pleasuring the animal. I mean, like, come on. If I want to fuck a horse, nobody's wrong with it, okay? All right? But I'll play the clip and I'll tell you why this matters here in a second.
Fair enough.
But here comes the controversial part, the part I shouldn't say.
Okay.
I believe that I am going, if I were the ruler, the benevolent dictator of the world.
The last time we heard rhetoric like this was when Eliza Blue was talking about if I was benevolent ruler of the world and kids were 13, they might be able to consent.
I would legalize bestiality where you are giving, where you are pleasuring the animal. You see what I'm saying?
No, I don't. I just couldn't imagine being such a bottom shelf beta Brad where I'm worried about the pleasure of a horse that you're theoretically fucking. Or a sheep. Sorry, we don't need to discriminate over here, you fucking weirdo.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Why?
Right.
Why did that happen?
Why? Why are you laughing?
That's the dumbest thing I've
It
said.
really is the dumbest thing you said. But
No, I'll tell you why.
Why? Okay. All right. Please. All right, everybody. Have you ever... Don't knock it until you try it, okay? All right?
Because, like, so there's, like, was the case that we covered where there was, like, a guy or a girl or something that was pleasuring a horse, and the horse came to a conclusion, right?
Yeah, it's like, hey, I kind of like to try it every once in a while, right? Come on, anybody with me, right? Oh, come on, you're gonna tell me you haven't thought about your German Shepherd, right? Come on.
So who got harmed?
you know that people
Bruh.
who are okay. Look, not to be.
Okay, I don't need to lose any more brain cells by watching that. That is an infamous clip that is out there. But that was all the way back in 2013. I only started to hear about it, probably around Probably about the time that this all was started to pop, right around 2019, in on and around that area where Cenk, the guy who's running and continuing to jangle the cup for donations to keep the lights on at his place that's funded by Al Jazeera, but we're the progressive side of the internet. Armenian genocide, Schmarmenian schmemicide. Am I right? Come on, guys. But this is your brain on progressivism. There is no slope steep enough. There are no hypotheticals too extreme for you to engage in and then eventually end at the bottom of this degeneracy. That's why I've always looked over across the aisle at these weirdos and it's like, you really think that it's just going to stop at that one station? You just think that, hey, anybody has the right to love whoever they want to love. You don't want to continue to push that a little bit farther. Oh, okay, cool. There's things written in the book that we're supposed to be, governing ourselves by, but you want to be tolerant of everything, and now we're getting to a point where horse fucking is somehow just going to be a socially acceptable practice. Well, take a look what they're trying to do with pedophilia right now if you don't want to engage in this here hypothetical. This is why every single day Islam is looking like the answer. But you might just think, hey, this is just Cenk. This is just one insane bacon grease enthusiast who just really has a hard on for Alex Jones. He's dangerous, of course. I could be here all a day with the amount of Cenk losing his mind compilations that are all over the internet, but I'll just, if you guys want some homework, just feel free to go check those out. They are great because he's a fucking spurg. But no, if this was just one weirdo on over there, that would be totally fine. But then, like I said, okay, at the beginning, I just thought that this would just be kind of like a funny little evergreen video. I could make a couple of jokes and then just push out like 10 minutes of content. But the more I dug into this, because I knew of an additional story that we could kind of latch on side to this, and the fact that, this whole beastiality thing, it's definitely going to happen, because the only way that anything changes in society is when one group of individuals manages to weasel their way in there and then push the narrative forward. You know exactly who I'm going to be talking about here for a second. Oh, let me just put on my Scott Adams cosplay for a second, and I'm just going to demean one entire group of people. It's jokes, folks. It's jokes. He doesn't deserve to be canceled. He's just a little fucking spurg that's over there in the corner that just it's like, I don't know why anybody's paying attention to him. But no, it's just liberal white women. Like, come on, you know it as much as I do, okay? Why did anything change in regards to different things being taught in schools? Okay, you wanted all of that CRT woke shit out of there? Well, guess what? Who made the change there? Which group started to rally and show up at the school board meetings? White women. Not liberal ones in that case, but just on the other side of the aisle, on the Democrat side of the aisle. Obviously, it's the liberal white women who make the change that are right there. That they're the ones who are standing up for Black Lives Matter. And it's like, okay, tell me you're not getting fucked at home properly without telling me you're not getting fucked at home properly. I understand. No, they're 80% of the consumer base, so wherever they go, that's where policy's going to go, because it's not really this big cabal. It's not these overarching people in the shadows controlling everything. It's corporations searching for the dollar. Who's spending the most? There's one group specifically, women. You go and chase them in the Western world, chances are it's going to be a white woman in some form or fashion. You placate to them, you get their money. That's why all the advertisement, that's why all the entertainment is structured and focused specifically on them. There's no big overarching plan. It's simply follow the money. It always has been, it always will be, and once you rationalize and you reason with that, things become a lot easier to suss out. Which is why finding this story is so fucking hilarious. I didn't even know about this. This is back in early, like, what, a week or two into the lockdown? You got Vaush. If you don't know who Vaush is, your life is better off for it. Here we have the internet's resident horsecock enthusiast. I know, man. This was just going to be a shitposty video that was going to be out there for a long time, but he's kind of relevant right now, because now you take a look at what him and his followers are doing for the quartering, who I'm not even, that big of a fan of myself. I just liked what he was doing for Eliza Blue. But then when I started to really analyze that situation more, Jeremy was just simping once again for another woman who will never ever touch his wiener, and Brittany Venti. It's like, you were doing good work, but it was still in service of being a simp. And then also what he's doing for Sydney Watson, white knighting for her. It's just like, oh, okay, cool. Again, it really, really, really crystallizes that you need to be good with women in order to survive in today's day and age. Otherwise, you start to go down some degenerate roads and you start making dumb shit on the internet. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the quartering. But still, like, I wouldn't pay him enough attention or pay him enough mind in order to be discussing in one of these Reddit spaces of all fucking places. This is where all of these ponderous conversations go. But Vaush, a subreddit, discussing the morality of me being killed because they don't like my videos. Sorry, what? Okay, so yeah, some moron just swatted my mother-in-law who is watching my home. Yeah, I think he's on vacation or something like that right now. I've seen some, showed up in the Twitter feed or whatever. So some moron... yeah, just swatted my mother-in-law who is watching my home. This is why I can't leave. Fuck. I hate this. She's terrified. I guess I can never leave again. I never signed up for this. My poor family certainly didn't either. Sorry you disagree with my opinion on pointless YouTube videos. I guess I can't live a basic human life, and my entire family has to suffer. Yeah, okay. All of that stuff. You also could have handled all of this shit offline and not given it any gas, and then it probably would have gone away. Especially because you get screenshots like this showing up on Twitter, or I'm sorry, on Reddit. No, you signed up to be a Nazi. Jeremy the Quartering is about the most second most milquetoast coverage that's out there. He just meanders his way through popular topics that are going on right now, not really offering any solutions, just kind of giving you the facts with a meme up front. He shills his wares and he's off to the 34th of 35 videos that he's going to be releasing in a day. But no, when you cultivate a fan base like this, and you also, your Discord is ground zero for beastiality, and your affinity for horse sex is so legendary that if you type in Vaush and horses into Google, you get result after result after result of you being a goddamn degenerate. This is why I've really had to shift the type of content that I liked to listen to. Like, there's some shit that I gotta listen to when it comes to research for my own personal videos that are out there, some of my more lofty concepts. And yeah, it might not be people that I'm necessarily fond of, but you know, hey, you gotta be thorough when you're doing this type of stuff. Not like how thorough Vaush was when he was writing this whole dog pill video. But just these guys, these bread tubers that were really popping until about the end of 2020 when they all started to eat each other because, you know, commies gonna be commies after all. You're never devout enough to the cause, comrade. But if you ever listen to these online internet debates between people in different Discord calls, it's just so fucking nonsensical if you just get down to it. If you listen to it, they're all just engaging in hypothetical ad hominems, never really addressing anything of importance and never really getting to the bottom of anything, but everybody feels more enlightened at the end of it. It's just one emotionalist argument against another emotionalist argument, never really solving anything, and then just coming back for another 8, 9, 10 hour stream the next day. It's just all fucking content to these people. You need to be content brained about everything. Bro, I do a lot of videos every single day. I record a hell of a lot more even than I release every day. That's why I like to talk about things that make me laugh, some sports topics, some things that I'm thinking about, some popular culture stuff. I like to mix it up a bit so that I'm not just one track mind focused on one specific issue. Because these people that just focus in on one thing in particular and think that it's the end-all be-all, then they start to see other people that don't perceive everything else like them as, well, the literal devil, or as they like to refer to Jeremy from the court, a dude that lives in Wisconsin, as a Nazi. Like, you're a free Palestine type, and you know who sided with the Nazis in the 40s? Like, come on now. But it's so funny. It's so funny to see him write this article, and I had no idea about it beforehand. I was just going to try to make a nice sly leftist beastiality reference here to double down on Cenk's takes, but here we are, somebody else with a similar body shape, also opining about his desire to fuck dogs. Anyone even passingly familiar with the geography of the online political community has probably heard of the term red pill. Oh my god, what kind of bastardized interpretation of this is it going to be? A term which refers to once to a community, an ideology, to an epiphanous realization. To take the red pill to be red pilled is an aspect, a particular worldview, although the worldview is this, that women are fundamentally unlike men. I could break this down, but you know what, hey man, this is his ilk's take. Everybody's the same, blank slate is just 100% the thing. And that worldview is this, that they are weaker and stupider and more cowardly and more easily manipulated. I can see why this is a Medium post, because it's equivalent to a blog post with just the terrible writing and terrible grammar. That society has been constructed in such a way that masks these deficiencies and disadvantaged men. Furthermore, the red-pilled response to the state of affairs is that they abandon the dogma of gender equality, except that pursuing the validation of women who cannot love is a sign of weakness, and emotionally exploit women to maximize your personal satisfaction. That's exactly what I would think that a tanky would think that being red-pilled or unplugged would be. So yeah, that makes sense. I'll save you the maudlin, inarticulate definitions, and we'll just skip ahead to the important part. There's one pill, though, and a rather obscure one at that, which I've seen gain some popularity in incel circles online. Sorry, what? Who's perusing incel circles? Oh, Vaush. Incel is a portmanteau for involuntary celibate. Yeah, and now it's just synonymous with anybody who's critical of women online. You're an incel. Okay. And the community purports to be an advocacy and a support space for people who are unable to find a romantic or sexual partner. I don't know. I got my opinions on incels. I just don't interact with them. Plenty of wild stuff comes from the myriad incel communities, from near comic levels of misogyny to suicidal ideation, bordering on that of a death cult, which this might just take the cake. The dog pill. Yeah, the dog pill to be dog pilled is to accept the immutable and inarguable fact that women are so lascivious, they will often sleep with large dogs. It's a fucking meme, you retard, and you decided to write an entire post about it? Holy. Could you imagine just being so devoid of your own creative endeavors that you need to take and dissect a fucking 4chan post? Like, come on, bro. In part because doing to is preferable to having sex with low-value men, the aforementioned incels. Women do this, it seems, because their debauched need to be dominated by strong males is so base that it extends across taxonomic lines. Just take the dog pill is to accept at this a very moment the girl you like, the girl that would treat you perfectly, if she'd only give you a chance right now, is roughly equal likelihood of being bedded by either a muscular frat boy or an equally muscular or somewhat less intelligent mutt. I think he's... Actually, I know that he is probably describing a fantasy of his. Look at this. Look at the rest of this. Look at how many words and look at how many pictures he decided to put into this. It's a fucking joke. It's a hilarious joke, too, to point out whenever you see a white girl posting on, Facebook or something with just her and her dog, and you just make a joke about how many jars of peanut butter she has around, and everybody has a laugh. This is what happens with leftists, man. And you can even find it in, the tradcon side when it comes to all the WEF and the people, the shadow people that are controlling everything behind the scenes, the New World Order. They just like to go off on those tangents. But when you dig down on things that are just so fucking haram, your mind just gets warped. And this is why, just having a diversified life, a diversified palette of interests is so damn important. Unless, of course, that bucket of interests that you have somehow involves, romantic fantasies of you and a large dog, then just do yourself a favor and just punch out. Just check out. Nobody wants to hear from you anymore. Sign up to Young Turks Premium and move to Spain if that's what you're on about. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone. Can't believe that was just a video. Oh my God. And thanks again to everybody who supports this fucking nonsense.